Well, what's going on, guys? This is Evan, the Dota 2 enthusiast here, bringing another Dota 2 gameplay commentary. This is going to be my usual post-game commentary where I play through a match with Warlock. This was a pretty successful game, and actually I got a message in my inbox requesting a match where I went Refresher Orb, Aghanim's Mega Infernal build Warlock, so I decided I'd go ahead and give that a whirl. This is my attempt at that. It went pretty well. I have to say that I enjoyed playing Warlock. I have one other player with me in a party, Krusty Cleft. So I'm playing with one guy and one other friend, and then it's just a bunch of randoms I picked up in the search for a match feature. I will be soloing mid with Warlock, and there's a couple things I want to talk about. This will carry out like the usual, the start of most Dota 2 matches where, well, alright, backtrack, let me start over. My starting items are 3 Iron Branches, a Sobi Mask, and a Flask, because Warlock's heal, provided you can get up to level 2 without getting forced out of lane, is actually very powerful and more useful in my opinion than tangos and things like that. The Flask is in case I get ganked or something like that, or I do it gank, or for whatever reason I get severely injured and I'm low on mana, then I can drop an Infernal down, or then I can use a Flask and get back up to full life. So that's kind of why you see the starting item build being the way that it is. There's been a couple changes on the channel since last time I did a commentary, so I want to talk about those. First and foremost, Dark Souls Prepare to Die Edition is just around the corner, so once that game releases, you better believe I'll be hitting that hard. And sort of in preparation for that, I think it's going to be the first game I do live commentary. I typically stay away from live comms because my style just isn't well suited for them. So I've never really found the, I guess, maybe motivation or confidence to do them, but I've decided Dark Souls is the kind of game I know really well, and I know that I'm very comfortable talking about it, and I've got the knowledge to do whatever I want to do. So I'll be bringing some Dark Souls Prepare to Die Edition, and you'll see me failing to last hit here. Still working on my last hitting skills. I very rarely solo. I actually like to dual lane with like a support, for as I play the support, or I like to do like powerful lane combos and stuff like that, and unfortunately this game I wind up being a solo with a Warlock, which I don't really think Warlock is that great of a solo. I prefer to play Warlock in the support role, where like my favorite Warlock is with Sceptre in lane, and then I can just continually heal Sceptre and she can use her dispersion and stuff like that, dispersion aura, to deal damage. They try to harass her, and she can get pretty much a much stronger free farm. And as most of you know that are watching this video who have played Dota before, Sceptre is an unstoppable carry. I've noticed that some of the people that watch these videos actually do not know anything about Dota, so we'll try to talk more about actual Dota during this gameplay commentary, but it's hard to completely describe a game ground up from the commentary stage, because you assume people that find your matches are here because they had some interest in Dota or your commentary style. So I guess I will talk a little bit about Dota just in the early game. Early game, my goal is to not run out of life and get forced back to my base, if you will. That way I don't have to heal up. I can stay in the lane and get experience. I get experience when creeps die around me. And I'm trying to get the last hit on creeps. That way I get the gold. It plays just like League of Legends, which I think more people have played than Dota. And no, I will never be playing League of Legends because I'm a Dota whore. With that said, getting back to the Dark Souls Prepare to Die Edition, since so many people are requesting Dark Souls, it is coming. My commentaries are very erratic during the month of August because it's the busiest time in the higher education system within the United States, and I work within higher education, so when I'm putting in 12-hour days, there's just not a lot of time to jump on here and do a commentary. But once the month of August is over, things will pick up, and as the month of August continues to wind down, things get better and better for me and my commentaries. So as a result, I really genuinely believe I'll be in a position where I will be able to commentate 3 or 4 times a week, particularly Dark Souls Prepare to Die, which I'm going to hit hard. I'm probably going to do like some sort of playthrough I haven't done yet, live comms, so you get to see all the embarrassing deaths to the new areas and all the great triumphs, providing there are any. So all those Dark Souls people out there, it's coming. I kind of feel like all of us should be waiting for the Prepare to Die edition. I think that maybe taking a little break from Dark Souls is in order before the new expansion. Get some time going on. But this is not a Dark Souls commentary, this is a Defense of the Ancients 2 commentary, so let's get back to that. I'm clearly rocking the Warlock, as I previously mentioned, and I don't last hit with Warlock. This is probably my 7th Warlock game in my life, so not the best Warlock player by any means. Not real comfortable using his skills. To elaborate on what Warlock's skills are, his first one, Fatal Bonds, it links a set number of units within a You target something, then all it and all the units around it get linked together. All the creeps and all the heroes and all of anything around it basically get linked together, and they start sharing life. So, not like Spirit Link where they share all their life, so much as when one takes damage, everyone that's connected will take damage. That's basically how it works in a nutshell. His second ability, Shadow Ward, is kind of his bread and butter skill. It's a heal and a damage over time. I basically use him strictly as a heal or to finish people off who are fleeing during team fights. His ultimate is an Infernal, which you call down. It stuns a big AoE wherever it lands, and it creates basically a giant rock monster. Kind of like if you guys have seen the movie Galaxy Quest, actually. The Infernal, since this isn't Warcraft 3 anymore, I can't really call it an Infernal, but it absolutely reminds me of one of like the big rock monster from Galaxy Quest for anyone that's actually seen that movie. So if anyone has seen Galaxy Quest, let me know, because I feel like that's one of those movies no one's seen, and I really like that movie. I have no delusions that it was some sort of amazing script or really good movie, but at the same time, I really enjoyed playing it. But you'll see me continue to fight for last hits in the lane here, denies and last hits, which is a fundamental element of Defense of the Ancients, or most ARTS games, is that you want to kill your own creeps so they don't get the gold or the experience, and you want to kill their creeps so you get gold or experience. But you don't just want to sit there and whack their creeps, because then you'll push the lane towards their tower, and they're safe around their tower. Whoever's closer to their tower realistically has their advantage. So has an advantage, excuse me. So I want the creeps to fight ideally on my side, but not within the tower range. So this is where I want the creeps to be, right here, because he has a vision problem because he can't see up the hill. So it's harder for him to last hit. So that's what I want. Unfortunately, they're going to push up to my tower, and the tower's going to push the lane back, and it'll be sort of a back and forth, trying to keep the lane as close to the middle as possible as it goes in Defense of the Ancients. I'm also not the best last year with Warlock, like I said, so sometimes I miss some denies or they get deny me. I think Windrunner is probably a stronger solo than Warlock. Warlock's heal is monumentally awesome for staying in a lane, and you'll see me, I'm using the chicken to curry my items, but I may or may not have been talking to my girlfriend and some other folks while I was playing this match. I was like, man, I just bought two Rings of Basilius, and the aura doesn't stack, and the extra stats just aren't worth the item slot. So it's kind of like, well, that's a general waste. Now I get to send it back and sell it, which is unfortunate, but it's only a small loss of gold, and I'm last hitting reasonably well. Not as well as I should be, but well enough. And you see he's auto-attacking, which is what you should not do. You shouldn't just sit there and shoot the creep. You only want to get the last hit or the 2 hits. Like, if you need 2 hits to ensure that you're going to get it by lowering the monster's life a little bit, that's fine. But, you know, the operative thing is just that you get the last hit in whatever manner you have to. Ideally with as few hits on the creep prior to that as possible, as to not push your lane. Because pushing your lane is bad unless you're trying to take the tower. And I'm not trying to take the tower. Because basically, for those of you that don't play Defense of the Ancients at all, the premise of the game is to destroy the other team's Ancient, which is basically their command center of their base. If you destroy the command center, you win the game. There are structures at the edges of their bases that create the armies we're fighting right now. So you want to destroy the army production facilities, and usually ultimately push all the way up to their throne and destroy it. There's defensive towers lining the landscape on these 3 narrow lanes that you go through. So you want to push through these lanes and ensure they're ancient. But you won't be strong enough to destroy the defensive towers until you're at a certain level or you have a certain strategy with your team. And since my team has no strategy, I know I won't be taking any towers until a little later in the game when our heroes are strong enough to bring them down. So right now it's all about just trying to control the lane, not get forced out by their hero, not to get killed by their hero, not to get killed by ganks, which is basically large team attacks from other people in the map. And you know, I need to look around and try to gank myself, because mid is usually in the best position to go gank other lanes, because they can go to the top or bottom, of course, at an equal distance, which means they can get in position to do the ganks on either lane. Whereas if you're top and you want to gank bottom, unless you're going to use a Scroll of Town Portal, it's a pretty long walk down there. So I like that my Warlock is just a dude that just walks around with a big torch like a boss. And after watching Windrunner in lane, I don't feel like she's like the greatest of players. Not that I am either. I'm not criticizing. I mean, honestly, people can play how they want. I don't claim to be a Dota 2 expert. Actually, what I'm claiming is that I don't think that this Warlock, or I'm sorry, that this Windrunner is going to call that I'm out of middle. Because whenever a hero leaves a lane, it's really important for both the enemy and my allies to say, blank and blank has left the lane. So I don't think they're going to call me missing. which means these two on bottom won't know that I'm coming because they will not have been verbally warned or warned via chat. So there's the skill I talked about earlier, my ultimate with the giant rock monster. They throw some stuns to try to slow me down, throw another stun. I managed to get the final kill. Their courier comes walking out here stupidly, so we get to kill their courier, which is a ton of gold for the team. Mid comes to try to help, way too late. If they were going to come, they needed town portal or just not bother. She should have stayed in lane farming, because unfortunately now they're both dead and all Windrunner can do is really run back to lane. So it would have been far better off just staying in lane to begin with. So see me using my rock monster here to destroy their tower. The Infernal, if you will, the giant flaming demon, actually dies over time, so there's really no need to try to like preserve his life. So I'm just trying to push the tower with his life, and it's completely successful. It's great. So we get the tower kill. That's all I really wanted. So get the tower kill, fall back. No need to get greedy and try to push for the next tower because we're probably not strong enough to get it, and they'll respawn. Of course, once again, for those of you that don't play Defense of the Ancients at all, if you die, you'll be dead for a certain number of seconds depending on your level, and you'll suffer a loss of gold upon your death. Then you'll respawn, come back to life, and that'll be that. So even though we killed 2 at that tower, they'll come back to life and they'd be more than ready and more than strong to defend the second tier tower, because the towers get stronger and stronger as you get closer and closer to the Ancient or their command center, as I previously pointed out. I'm not sure, since this isn't like a Dota 2 themed channel, it's really difficult for me to be like, you know, how boring should I be? Like, you know, should I explain every little nuance of the game, every little premise, or should I just talk about my strategy? Let me know in the comments. I'm definitely going to have to find a balance between the two, I think, but we'll see what comes up. This game is free to play, so I'm really hoping that maybe some of my subscribers will get interested in playing this, because this is a game that, you know, constitutes a 5-man team or more, so I would really like to play some subscribers. This is the kind of game where it's good to teach people how to play. It helps people get into this game. It helps grow the community on this game, so I'm all about trying to convince people to play this game. So if anyone wants like a play with ego night, this would probably be the day to do it, or the game to do it rather. So I see a team fight coming down here, and I see the Darkseer is probably dead. My rock monster is on cooldown, but I throw the heal. The heal probably gives him just enough life to survive. I managed to do a quick right-click auto attack. That's, you know, my basic attack. I'm not using any skills. I'm just walking, attacking like I am right now. This is right-clicking or auto attacking. So there's actually a delay on animations in this game, in that if I click and stand still, my guy will throw an attack, throw an attack, throw an attack based on my attack speed. But with Warlock, because his animation for throwing his little fireball or his firebolt from his torch there is fairly long, it's actually much quicker for me to attack then move, which cancels the animation and makes everything so much quicker. So those of you that are new to Defense of the Ancients are hoping to get into it, it's usually advantageous to attack, move your character just the slightest so you can order an attack again. It takes more clicking, but you know, this is an ARTS, so click spamming is just kind of part of the game. So we're trying to take this tower. We take the tower, and I know we have to fall back because we can't fight these heroes and win, especially not with my rock monster on cooldown and all my skills being unavailable because I have no mana. And of course, Defense of the Ancients uses basic premises of RPGs like that, like life and mana. The green bar is life, the blue bar is mana. Using skills uses mana and life both recover over time, and you can go back to base to get a quick heal for both. And you can buy Scrolls of Town Portal, warp around the map. You'll see the first item I bought was a Scroll of Town Portal, or I'm sorry, Boots of Travel, which gives me a really fast run walk speed and of course allows me to teleport to anything allied to me, any allied creep. Probably not the most recommended item on Warlock. I don't really think he needs to be teleporting around the map all that quickly. I kind of bought it for fun. That's a big thing that holds me back in Defense of the Ancients from becoming a better player is sometimes I do things just because it seems fun. Like I do item builds that I don't think are ideal. And this is one of those games where I was like, well, I hate buying Scroll of Town Portal because every time I buy a TP, I never use it. Someone's like, if I use a TP, I just burned 135 gold. It's a terrible way to look at it. Normally, if you think you need the TP, go ahead and use it. But probably always nice to have a Boots of Travel. That way I know I'm not going to waste a cent on warping. But at the same time, it won't really pay off unless I would have bought $2,000 worth of TP scrolls, which is unlikely. Plus, there are other boot slots which probably would have been more useful to me, such as mana boots. There's the starting boots can buy increase your run walk speed, and they're mandatory on all heroes. All heroes by a certain point in the game, everyone has to buy boots of speed. So those upgrade into different kinds of boots. They give different things, different effects. I'm not going to elaborate on all this here because you'll eventually see them in all the commentaries, but I bought the one that had the highest base run walk speed increase and allowed me to teleport from one point to another across the map. Incredibly powerful, but the same effect can be acquired just by buying a Scroll of Town portal and just carrying regular boots. So obviously not the ideal thing to buy, but you'll see in these videos I often don't do the ideal builds. Like right now I have a wand, a Basilius, and a Boots of Travel. I think instead at this point I'd probably want to have a mana boots, because I don't think my team has any mana boots. I don't know if we need them either. There's not a whole lot of casters on my team that I think would really need them. So I could have a phase boots, which gives you added run speed, of course, and the ability to walk through objects like enemy units and allied units, and it gives you a little bit of extra damage. So that probably would have been a better choice. But like I said, I don't play this hero all the time, and if I do, I kind of just want to do builds I like. So once again, just trying to throw out some basic premises for people that don't play Dota 2 and are just watching this video to hear my lovely, lovely commentary. The reason that I don't just keep following those creepways all the way to the tower is I don't have any allies with me, so once I go so deep by myself without help, I run the risk of getting taken out by multiple heroes from their team. And since I have Boots of Travel, I can always warp around to the safest lanes and farm, so it's definitely a powerful effect. On a long enough timeline, buying Boots of Travel is great. Another reason I bought them is I feel like their value exponentially increases as the game goes on. Better late game than early game, at least in my opinion, but because I had so many of those early kills and we got some quick towers, mostly a result of my gank coming out of middle to bottom lane, I kind of decided to take advantage of that early gold to get more map control. Now I can warp around and defend towers longer. I mean, eventually I'm not going to be able to defend all these towers by myself, but right now I can pretty much solo defend towers against, 2 or 3 heroes at the same time by dropping rock monsters. Since I was in a solo lane, as opposed to having 2 people in my lane, I was the only person in my lane. It definitely gave me the levels I needed to be able to defend things on my own. So Boots of Travel may not be the best choice, but definitely not the worst either. Definitely a useful item. When you're going to play Warlock, I think you're either going to build mostly support items or you're going to build like really bad carry items. Really bad carry items, in my opinion, would be the Aghanim's Refresher, which is what I'm going to make as this game progresses. So basically I'm going to become an all ulti-centered hero, which I think is a stupid way to play Warlock. I think ideally you'd want to build a sheep stick, particularly if you soloed mid, you want to build a sheep stick because early sheep is so powerful because Warlock's abilities are all reasonably good. Upheaval, which is the skill I haven't mentioned, does a huge slow and a big area of effect, but it channels. So other than Upheaval, his skills are all very useful at pretty much any stage in the game, either as a heal over time in the middle of fights. You get the idea of all the basic applications of these skills. They're all useful, and the Rock Monster is a great AoE stun combined with pushing power. It's really good, and definitely buying an Aghanim's is viable in any game to make his ultimate better, but it's easily counterable because they can buy a Diffusal Blade, which lets them one-shot one of the 2 Infernals you'll call. Because once you get an Aghanim's, instead of having just one really strong rock monster, you get 2 really strong rock monsters. So it's a fairly powerful Sceptre upgrade, so it's definitely more of a luxury item though. I think core would be a sheep stick if you're going for the solo carry build. And if you don't want to solo carry, and you're not really ever going to carry, which means your hero ensures your team wins the game. No, it'll never be like that, so much as I absolutely believe that you can build a sheep stick to have a lot of early game ganking power / pushing power / everything. Sheep stick's pretty much good on any hero. And I warped top a little late for the action, but I figured while I was here we could push. So because I have Furion on my team, Nature's Prophet, we actually have a lot of global presence because with me warping all over the map and Furion being able to warp all over the map, it's not too bad. Once again, not doing the most optimal item build. Since we don't really have any true supports this game, no one's really playing true support, despite the fact Warlock is arguably a true support, I probably should have built a mechanism to heal my team or something useful like that, a pipe. Now you guys get the idea. I don't know if we probably don't need a pipe, but just stuff like that. And I called that Infernal a little early. Used my ultimate there, probably way earlier than I needed to. I would have been better off waiting for Darkseer to use his skill to vacuum all my enemies together. But unfortunately I didn't wait. I got a little anxious, and I thought if I didn't use it, then my ally was going to die. So I went ahead and decided, you know, using skills in Dota, skills with long cooldowns are always tricky because it's like you want to wait for the right moment to make it worthwhile, but at the same time, obviously if you pop it too late, it's completely useless. So it's like, usually I just go for it and hope it all works out, which is why I'm like a terrible Enigma player. Because Enigma, it's usually better to wait till that right moment to get the black hole than just kind of throw it out there and hope for the best. Because black hole is such an essential skill to playing Enigma. I feel like with Warlock, I can still be useful in these fights, even if I just drop the Infernal in for good stuns. As long as I stun 2 to 3 people for a second or two when I drop the ultimate, I'm typically satisfied with how things are going. So right now we are up to the barrack structure that I spoke about earlier. These are what spawns their creeps. Now, it should be noted that when you destroy these barracks, creeps will still spawn, they'll just be weaker than your creep. So basically you have a lane that will forever push itself. So now I see that we stayed too long. We got our racks, but now we stayed too long and their heroes are too powerful. We're going to get run over, so most of my allies die. They don't have TPs to get out. They either didn't carry TPs or didn't get an opportunity to use them. I wasn't really keeping track. In any case, I of course have a huge level advantage still, and I've got boots of travel, so I'm go ahead and throw out the TP and get back to base. Almost have my Aghanims now. I think I'm 1,000 gold off from Aghanims. And that's going to be a big deal, actually. Normally, I don't think Aghanims contributes this much, but because the enemy team is already under-farmed, under-leveled, and I had a really successful solo, it's going to mean they're going to have a very hard time defending pushes when we have double rock monster. So that's kind of all part of the plan of this build. Because I think this is a really popular build for people, because who doesn't like to summon a giant enslaved rock that just beats up on people and is really powerful and has great stuns and you're really survival with your heal. Like, there's a lot to like about Warlock, so I can see why people like him. I can see why it was requested. I don't think a lot of gameplay commentaries for Dota 2 actually exist, and the ones that do usually aren't doing bad skill builds, or not skill builds, but bad item builds. So if you want to see a Dota commentator that sometimes does like wonky, ineffective skill builds and item builds, I'm a pretty good source for that, because I by no means am trying to be an excellent Dota player. I play in the high elo skill bracket, which is, of course, pales to very high, so I'm obviously sort of a mediocre average player, and I'm totally aware of that. So as usual in the comments, if anyone has any suggestions for how I can get better, you know, let me know. Saying my item build sucks and things like that, that kind of goes without saying. I want people just to comment on my actual gameplay and style. So all you Dota 2 nuts who know a lot about it, please give me your feedback. I really would appreciate it. This game is going to be staying on the channel because I used to play the original Defense of the Ancients based on the Warcraft 3 engine a lot. Then by the days that Garena came out and all those other third-party clients had split the community all these different ways, and there was all these bot hosting and clan TDA and their crappy rules and stuff like that, I just decided it was too much hassle to play Dota on Warcraft 3. Plus every match took me about an hour to get through, and it just wasn't worth it anymore. So it was a game I forever missed once I got out of it, so it's really good to be playing it again. So always expect this on the channel, because I always commentate first and foremost the games I like to play. The first consideration is games I like to play, and the second consideration is what people like to see. And this is a game I love to commentate, and certain people definitely like to see it. As when you start doing any new game on your channel, especially a small channel like mine, you have to take some time to build up an audience for these games. And I've already built up my Dark Souls audience, so it's one of those things where I can never leave Dark Souls. I have to keep doing Dark Souls, which is fortunate because I think people who commentate Call of Duty, for example, they may not even like Call of Duty, but because they started their fan base there, they can't get out of it because they'll lose so many people that their channel will basically cease to exist, especially the small channels. Now, thankfully, since I started with Call of Duty, but my channel never got so big that I couldn't transition out, so I had the fortune of being able to transition out of Call of Duty because this channel actually started on Call of Duty Black Ops. So it's great to be able to play the games I like still, and it's great that people have supported my channel even when I put out commentaries for random games. In a way, Dark Souls is a bit of an albatross sometimes, because still, no matter how much Dark Souls commentary I put out, there's always still requests for more Dark Souls commentary. But that's why the Prepare to Die edition is such a blessing for me, because it will give me a chance to revisit Dark Souls in a new light, because I've kind of played the game out. It's such a deep game that I definitely had more things I could do on it, but just as I could do them didn't mean I would want to. I'm definitely a Dark Souls fanatic, but you know, all good things must come to an end, and with the Prepare to Die edition coming out, it's definitely going to give me the opportunity to do new character builds, and with the added multiplayer mode on PC, it's going to be great. So I would expect Dark Souls coming once to twice a week, and Dota 2 coming once to twice a week as well, depending on where the can't talk, never can talk. Depending on how the other games shake out, because with any luck, Call of Duty Black Ops 2 will actually be a good game. Black Ops 1 is my favorite Call of Duty of all time. I've now played all the Call of Duties. Modern Warfare 3 was the worst of all time. So, with any luck, I can successfully find the joy of playing Call of Duty again, and I can bring you guys some Call of Duty Black Ops 2 gameplay, some Defense of the Ancients 2 gameplay, and some Dark Souls gameplay. So hopefully, all together, we'll have a pretty robust and varied channel, because the creative element of me just felt unsatisfied only doing Dark Souls all the time. As much as I love Dark Souls, you get to that point where like, I really feel like I could commentate other games successfully. Clearly, I don't just commentate Dark Souls. So that's kind of where I am. I know I said this was a Defense of the Ancients 2 commentary, but these will be much better live, and the next one probably will be live, because now I finally have my equipment to do live commentaries. At least I think I do. The new equipment I invested in was a stand for my Blue Yeti microphone, a shock mount to, try to improve the recording quality, and the universal blue pop filter, which is horrendously overpriced for what you get. I've got a setup here, so I predict problems being able to both commentate and play simultaneously. I'm sure it will lower my performance, particularly on Dota 2, because when I bought headphones, the Blue Yeti is such a nice microphone, guys. I didn't want to buy headphones that had like a mic attached to it. It just didn't feel right when I had such a nice microphone. So I just bought a nice set of studio headphones so that I could listen to gameplay audio while commentating. So it's just going to be awkward, because I'll have to put like the mic off to the side of a monitor and then talk to the side while I play, I guess, is kind of what I'm envisioning. Or I'll have to buy another headset, and that just seems stupid now when I have like so many different kind of headsets. So we'll see what happens. When you get this gameplay commentary, it's interesting. It makes me think like, man, back in the day as in like, 2 years ago, when I didn't commentate at all, like, there were no considerations such as, what do people want to watch, or what could I play for a long, long time? There you'll see my double rock monster. It did a ton of damage. The hero I was hitting, the little ginger girl there, Windrunner, the reason she didn't pretty much just get pulverized was because her skill Windrun gives her fantastic run walk speed and gives her a whole bunch of life, so she was just going to get away regardless. Now, I must confess, this game will end in a victory for my team before I successfully complete my refresher orb and double ult, which is a huge letdown for a commentary like this, when the whole reason I posted it was because I was doing a request video for an Aghanim's double ult. But frankly, and you'll see, I should be using my heals to keep people alive, but I'm just kind of tunnel vision on attacking that Rax and attacking heroes. But I successfully finally pop a heal on somebody, and now I'm back in the game doing my support role. I was kind of starting to believe I was a carry again, which is my preferred role to play, I think, is non-solo carry. I like to play a lot, or jungler, semi-carries. I like pretty much anything that's not a pure role. Pure support I can't stand, because my team rarely synergizes well enough to make it work. And then my, of course, Shadow Ward brings down the Windrunner, and I realized while doing this commentary right now, that if I hadn't bought that extra ring of Basilius, I probably would have had time to complete my refresher. So, goes to show you, when you buy the wrong item, it's a tremendous setback, actually. But it's no problem, really. We still won the match. I still think this accurately demonstrates how to play a basic Warlock. There's very few heroes in Dota 2 I play at the quote-unquote expert level. I think I play Juggernaut at a near expert level. Like, I think I could do an in-house Juggernaut game with good players and do fairly well in terms of just the heroes mechanics, but otherwise a lot of my heroes need work. I need to do an upheaval build. You'll see I've completely skipped upheaval for my skill build, which was the large AoE slow I talked about, because I just didn't see it being very useful to me and my team. It's not a worthless skill by any means. A lot of people consider it a completely worthless skill. That doesn't do it justice. It has a lot of uses, but this game was not one of them, so I opted out of that plan. Thinking a different time and a different place I would get it, though. I like having extra stats for survivability and damage, and I think they paid off with a couple of kills this game, so we'll see. Warlock, not the quickest jungler, not so good at right-clicking down creeps, particularly not with my skill build, which is basically an Aghanim and support items. But thankfully his heal, with all the regeneration I've stockpiled, allows me to pretty much stay in the jungle indefinitely, just farming at a really slow rate. But with the Boots of Travel, I shouldn't really be spending a lot of time in the jungles anyway. I should be warping from lane to lane. Oh, also, random, but when I do these contests, I like to actually have items for my heroes because it looks sweet, and I don't mind having a little bit of showy appearance on my heroes during commentaries, but I don't have any items on Dota 2, and I'm not buying keys. So if anyone feels like donating, let me know. That is not a plug, like a little secret like, hey guys, please comment, like the video kind of thing. No, I'm just saying that some people in the past have offered to donate cash money to the channel, and that's not something I'm comfortable with at this time, but I am comfortable with receiving in-game items, so, you know, if anyone's feeling like making Egoxeno's heroes look real cool, let me know. I'm not expecting a whole bunch of takers, but that's okay. By the way, in the future, expect a new updated partner wallpaper for this channel. The fact that one's not up here yet is actually rather criminal. It's just, it takes a lot of time to make this stuff, and I don't have the money right now to pay someone to make it, and anyone that volunteered to make one hasn't really made one up to my technical specifications and or hasn't made them for a partner level commentator. And I don't say that with any kind of like unjustified verbose pride like, I'm a partner, your guys' crappy design for me sucks. Like, no, I'm a partner and I want to make use of the new partner layout. So if you're still in that group of people that's trying to volunteer to make a background for this channel, by all means just make sure you use the partner style background, because I'm not going to just sit on a partner background. I went through a lot of trouble to get with TGN and get this stuff going on. And thanks again for TGN for partnering me. I thanked them before in other commentaries, but until I'm kind of over it, I'm still going to be thanking them. So thank you, TGN. I'm also in the process of doing some other technical things. I need a new intro for the channel, which will eventually come. And this is going to be the last push of the game. We're going to take the racks down here before I can finish my refresher. I'm very close though. And you can clearly see I had intended to deliver on the request, but just the game went so well, and there it is right there. The vacuum, this time I actually waited. They vacuumed them all together. The double Infernal came down, mass AoE damage, mass stuns, Infernals to take the Raxes into fight. We were pretty much good to go. So, a lot of fun this game. For me, I think the other team got stomped a little bit, but like I said, in my defense, this was not an organized stomp match. I'm only playing with one other person, and he's by no means in a higher skill level than me, so we're both just in high skill bracket playing against other high skill bracket players, and there's really no reason to call this a stomp when you're only playing with one other person. When I actually checked out their game, they were playing with 3 friends, so actually they had a larger quote-unquote stomping team. Then for whatever reason my game lags out pretty bad, which was scary, very scary. Whenever Dota lags, you feel like you're about to die, but life still gets right-clicked down. At this point the game's kind of over. I was kind of felt like being a jerk and just asking my team not to push so I could finish my refresher orb. Like, let's not push, let's just kill time until my refresher orb gets here and I can double ult and be a total beast. But there really wouldn't be any point, because at this point you can usually tell the match is over. 2 racks are down, they're underleveled and underfarmed. We're in no risk of losing any Raxes or anything like that. Like, unless we just start throwing team fights for fun, a comeback is basically inconceivable. That coupled with the fact that I have Boots of Travel and I'm going to warp back and defend anything they push, and Double Infernal can probably solo stop one of their pushes right now. I think the other team would have been well suited to build a Diffusal Blade on one of their heroes to destroy these Infernals. The Diffusal Blade would probably pay for itself on a long enough timeline, but they just didn't have time to farm one. But alright guys, that's the end of the game. I'm going to leave up the leaderboard at the end of the commentary so you guys can see how I did, my gold per minute, my EXP and stuff like that, my stats, just like leaving the Call of Duty scoreboard out. So I know this isn't my usual game, but get used to it, so tell me what you think. I really need the feedback. I haven't commentated this a lot, so I really want to hear what you guys think I need to include more or less of. And as always, thanks everyone for watching, and I hope everyone takes care. Ooh, and I got a treasure chest I'll never open. Alright guys, thanks for watching. This is Ego signing out.